presidential election is right around the corner. We talked to political science professor Dr. DeAnna Watts about the November elections, student voter turnout rates, and how students can become more educated to participate in this year's election.
Dr. DeAnna Watts, assistant professor of political science.
Dr. Watts talked to us about third-party candidates and the influence they may have in this year's election.
And this one's going to be, how much of an impact they're going to have is anyone's guess. This election has not followed the typical patterns. So, but Gary Johnson and Jill Stein have, in certain parts of every state, they're supporters, and there are people of both parties who are not fans of either candidate that's representing their party. So people might be more inclined to vote third party this time around than they would have in the past. In previous elections, even if somebody wanted to vote third party, we're not, Americans, we're not big risk takers with our votes. So most people, even if they prefer a third party candidate, they'll still vote for one of the candidates from the two major parties, whichever one's, more in line with their third party choice.
From the 2008 to the 2012 elections, voter turnout rates dropped dramatically. Dr. Watts explained to us the causes for this and why it is important for those able to, especially students, to go out and vote.
But usually when there's an open seat like 2008, there was a lot of college students turned out to vote. And in 2012, not so much. People get disappointed that in presidential candidates because they, regardless of party, they promised the sun, the moon, and the stars. And then they get in office, and it's a constitutionally defined office. They can't do everything they promised. They have to work with Congress. They've got to, face interest groups. They have to face their own party. If they're in their first term, they got to look at re-election. They're not going to be as bold. So a lot of people get disappointed, and that's why I think the youth vote goes down. If the youth vote, talking like 18 to, 30, if they don't turn out, they're not going to spend a lot of time addressing issues that concern you. So at the very least, voting puts you in that pool that they're going to notice next time. So, older voters, that's why things like Social Security and gets a lot of attention, whereas student loans, other than Bernie, and he kind of forced Hillary to talk about it because he was talking about it. But after he dropped out, have you heard anything about student loans? Nope. Just kind of goes away because they don't anticipate the youth vote coming out. Most students don't learn about government or the government, the functions of government and the institutions. They don't understand Congress writes the laws, and that can impact how you do your job or whether or not you have a job later, or student loan, interest rates, things like that. Even if it's a safe state, and you think, regardless of what party you are, your vote matters because the next election round, pollsters, campaign managers, any campaign staff, they're going to look at the voter turnout in each state.
As a faculty member who teaches campaigns and elections, it is important to maintain a neutral position.
And I've been in the classroom where you kind of felt pressured to answer, a certain way, or write a paper a certain way. That's not really learning. Any government professor, we're not teaching Democrats, we're not teaching Republicans, we're teaching everybody. So we have a responsibility to, again, provide the information. I think we should look at how much emphasis we put on teaching civics and middle school, high school, and really stressing how important it is. We're kind of losing that. I remember studying Congress in middle school back in the day, and now I have students that get one semester of government. But I think we need to get back to that and just teach the basics. What the Constitution, what are the institutions, what's their governing authority? Because when you know what the role is of each of the institutions, the students are smart. They have their own brains, their own experiences. Give them the information, and let them sort it out and figure out exactly what they how they view government and what policy priorities they have.
Dr. Watts gave us some tips on how to become educated to be able to go out and vote for the next president on November 8th.
The Texas Secretary of State's website has forms. They also have links to all the counties' board of elections, so students or family can get information, deadlines, types of IDs, because every state is different as far as their voter ID laws, and when you have to register and who can register, where to register. So, and all the primary dates are also different in every state. Just read the Constitution. Articles, at the very least, Articles 1, 2, and 3. Those lay out all three branches, and will let you know what their governing authority is. Again, it's knowing their functions and their authority right from the get-go. It will be a great benefit. And picking the candidate that reflects your political values and your priorities.